Greetings and welcome to the second panel, GatherVerse She Summit 2026. I'd like to commend the fireside chat, the second roundtable, the first roundtable, and every speaker who came before us because we're only going to take it a notch higher. And with me, I have very wonderful leaders who are going to help us demystify the power of women leadership, the future of tomorrow. Well, panelists, I'd like you to introduce yourself. And until I called upon, I request you to stay muted. And well, who shall I begin with? Kim, how about we start with you? Let's get to know you. Why are you here and who are you? Then we'll pass it over to Emily and then we'll conclude with Pooja. Over to you, Kim.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Nelson-Wright, founder and CEO of K&W Business Advisors. I work with women leaders and mission-driven organizations to build clarity, emotional intelligence, and systems that support sustainable leadership. My work focuses on helping leaders grow without burnout or chaos, especially as technology, culture, and expectations continue to evolve. And I'm excited to be a part of the conversation. Thank you.
We're excited to have you. We're excited to have you. Thank you so much, Kim. We look forward to hear your expressions. Over to you, Emily. Tell us who you are.
Hello, everybody. I'm Emily Wright. I am the creator of It'll Be Alright. I'm excited to be here today because my first ever GatherVerse was She Summit 2023. And now I'm still here, so it's cool to see how much it's expanded. I am a certified life coach, and I specialize on the intersection of psychology and technology and looking at how we can be manipulated through content and algorithms. So I have a digital wellness seminar where I teach people how content uses our emotions, and I teach people about bias and how to recognize it in ourselves and in each other and on online, and then figure out tools to make sure that we can steer that in a way that's a little bit more productive. And so excited to be here today, and I look forward to hearing the conversation.
Thank you, Emily. We're always excited to have you here. And shout out to you since 2023 and now it's 2026. Thank you so much for choosing us. Lavinia, over to you. Your mic, please. All right. Let's come to you, Tiffany. We're very happy to-
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Let me turn my screen reader off. I apologize.
You're welcome.
My name is Tiffany Martin. I am the founder and CEO of Visiotech. We work on AI cybersecurity solutions as well as provide education and training. And our focus is making sure that technology and systems are more equitable and centering humans and protecting them first as all of these industrial revolutions are emerging right now. And I'm excited. This is not my first GatherVerse. And I'm always just pleased and overjoyed to participate and just share from my perspective. So happy to be here amongst these speakers.
You're welcome, Tiffany. Yes, it's not your first time, and we're always pleased whenever we see you. Teresa, this is not your first time as well. Please tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Teresa Grant Narsimon, and that's right, it's not my first GatherVerse. I really love being part of GatherVerse, and I have been involved for now a year. I am here today because I love anything that has to do with leadership and women. I'm in Tanzania today, this week, near Kilimanjaro, and I run an organization that operates globally. We provide quality education to disadvantaged youth, and we have women's programs. We really focus on the intersection between education and jobs and filling that gap and making sure that women especially get the chance to not only be given access to quality education, but get that chance to get into the workforce. And we have a learning management software system, an LMS, that we've created that is bringing AI in and training women, especially to get the job experience that they need, work experience, management experience to get jobs. and prepare themselves for the workforce. So grateful to be here.
We're happy to have you here, and definitely say hi to the people of Tanzania. It's just right down here from Kenya. And Pooja, we saw you last at Book Summit, but tell us who you are.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Pooja, and currently I'm in New Delhi, India. I am a conversational AI evangelist with Conversive AI, and I operate at the intersection of academia and industry. In Conversive, I craft thought leadership across messaging ecosystems and conversational technologies. And I'm also a founder of a website called techitonics.com, which is very close to my heart, as I've built a dedicated space for exploring developments across robotics, space, health, ecology, and future technologies. And on the same website, I also showcase my regular book reviews, as in the books that I enjoy reading. And at times, the writers also approach me. And in return, all I want is a book in hardbound, and I give them a review, an honest review. And outside work, I'm also a long distance runner. And I've approximately completed around 41 marathons, and I'm running since 2016.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'm gonna join you in marathon, but you have to teach me. That is such a fascinating bio, and we're very happy to have you, Pooja. Lavinia,
you.
let's hear from you.
Hi. I want to say Happy New Year.
Happy New
Hi,
Year to you.
I am calling in from London, UK. This is my first GatherVerse, even though I am a fan and a follower of Christopher, the founder. So I run the amazing and award-winning Women in Blockchain Talks. I started it because I said I wanted to be the Oprah of blockchain, shine in the spotlight. Many women who were building because representation matters. We've been going for 6 years now, very proud of that. And I moved from community-led spaces to policy-led spaces. Back in 2022, 2 of my NFTs were stolen. I took it to the High Courts of England and Wales. And off the back of that, the judges stated that my assets were property. I set case law. It was used, that case law is now used around the world. And just last month, the UK, or should I say England and Wales, stated that digital assets under the jurisdiction of England and Wales is now defined as property. A huge win.
Yes, and you are the Oprah of blockchain. You take that. That title is yours, and thank you for sharing that beautiful case study. And it's
Thank you.
definitely a lesson for so many. And dear panelists, shall we begin? All right, all right, all right. Let's go to our first question. And I just want to throw this into anyone who wants to contribute to this first. What leadership capabilities will define relevance and make an impact for the future generations? Who wants to go first?
I'd like to go.
All right.
So because of the work that I have done, moving from community to policy led, I think future ready leadership is less about authority and it's more about stewardship. You know, how do we steward the technology that's coming in and ensure that many and not just a few are part of its development, of its build? So for me, leaders who will remain relevant are those who can translate complexity into clarity, balance innovation with responsibility, and build trust across systems that don't fully control. So yeah, that's what my thoughts are.
You know, I share the same feeling when you say it's about stewardship, right? It's not about the title. And as a young person, for us, I think the generation of someone like Emily or me, for us, leadership doesn't come with titles. It comes with the stewardship. It comes with responsibility. And I really, that is heartfelt. I agree with that. And Kim, you had something to say. Please add it.
I was going to add that I think the ability to self-regulate under pressure, communicating with clarity, and designing systems that support people, not just the outcomes. Future-ready leaders will be judged by how sustainably they lead, and not how hard they push. So I think that's going to be definitely relevant for future leaders.
That stick with me. How sustainably they lead. Teresa, please chime
I
in.
was just going to add, I think this is where women are going to really thrive. And the reason for that are, whether we're mothers or not, we have an innate ability to care for others. And I really feel like this is the time where we're going to be needed the most to really think thoughtfully about how AI is used, how technology is used in the health sector, making sure that people are cared for, thinking about our bodies, not just thinking about the technology and efficiency, but how it affects us, and being well-rounded and taking care of those who are using technology, because it does affect our health as well.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be a time of us rising up and really bringing out that ability to care and nurture ourselves and others.
Yeah, I really see where you're coming from, and I'm certain all women can relate to that. It's an inherent nature to care. That is absolutely right. And does anyone want to add in to this particular topic before we shift things?
I can add in.
Yes, please.
Just building off of everybody's response, because they were all, very accurate and on the point. It's those soft skills, we now know them as durable or power skills that's needed. Empathy, compassion, which, we do intrinsically have as women. But I do believe on top of that, it's going to require both discernment as well as ingenuity, coming in a world that is really ruled by autonomy and automation. Just someone to be able to see the bigger picture. And we do a great job of that, not only with systems thinking, but, where we centralize the human aspect in the midst of, everything that's going on. So I think, between sustainability and stewardship,
Yes.
and, just everything all together, I think it's very much needed right now.
Absolutely. That was very well, beautifully summarized. And I want to maybe shift to something that is maybe like a thread to our previous conversation, is what leadership roles are emerging that did not previously exist, especially for women. Emily, I want to pick you on this, and anyone who wants to chime in on that as well.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, I think, especially given where the economy is at right now. And it's much harder for people to find even basic jobs. So a lot more people are having to get creative and take risks and try new things and create things for themselves and think outside the box and enhance skills that AI can't take away from us. And I think there's a lot more opportunity for education in that space. And as has been discussed, women and female individuals are more likely to have an intrinsic sense of empathy and care and being able to make connections. And I think that is what is really crucial right now. And I think that is a big asset that we have and that we need to bring into both the business space and the education space. And especially with younger generations, with where we're at right now, there's a lot of need for that kind of education. And leadership is a big part of that. And we see how in social media and honestly, like podcasts have creating a new kind of leadership where we've had influencers for a long time, but now I feel like there's a rising interest in like self-help podcasts and wellness podcasts. And there's a responsibility and leadership that comes out of that. And I think that's been interesting to see, but that's my thoughts on that. And what does other people think?
Yes, and that is wholeheartedly. Maybe let me just chime in on that. When you mentioned about podcasts, I remember 10 years from now, we didn't 10 years ago, we didn't have anything called podcasts. But right now, we now have podcast influencers. We have podcast hosts who are getting 10 million views, and now they're getting rewards. It's now becoming a career, right? And thank you just for putting that together. Who wanted to chime in kindly? Who wanted
Yes,
to?
yes. Hi, I'd like to add, I'd like to build up on what Emily had just said. I come from AI domain, so I can give like 2 pointers, 2 designations on it. Last week only, I was discussing this with a colleague of mine in the office. And, we came up with 2 new designations, or you can say the leadership roles. So one was CAO, Chief
Oh,
Automation Officer, and the second one was Human Machine Collaboration Manager. Right.
wow.
So I've been writing a lot about AI tools and orchestration things. And whenever I end my write-up, I always mention that whatever tool or whatever infra you are on, you always need human in the loop. So we are building certain automations. The guys are the tech guys, the DevOps guys, they're building automations. So we wanted somebody, a human in the loop kind of a thing. So that's what we thought of this designation that I'm saying, human machine collaboration manager. And while I was at it, another thing, third bottleneck that I observed in my organization was uh, people work in silos, the departments work in silos. So I was also thinking something about, like systems leader, the one who mobilize others without any title as of now. So the main job would be mapping interdependencies across teams, products, and processes, and aligning work across functions to avoid those silos optimization things. So these were the things I was discussing in the office as well. And interestingly, the question came up here as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a very beautiful sentiment. When you were talking, I was thinking, what other role could we create? And I was like, okay, can we have a chief humanity officer or something of the sort? Yeah, right. And
Yes.
maybe Kim, I see you wanted to chime in. Please, it's your opportunity right now.
I was agree with both sentiments. We're seeing the rise of roles that sit between human and systems, and leaders don't just have to manage the people anymore. They're managing the tools and integrating them together. So the leadership is more comprehensive, more expansive.
Yes, thank you for summarizing that. Beautifully said. And I want to maybe shift to the just a little bit of women leaders here. And I'm coming to you, Lavinia. Are there some the systemic designs that continue to disadvantage female emerging leaders? And how can that be changed? And I also want to hear from you, Teresa. But Lavinia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. So change happens when we redesign the system. Women are still over-mentored and under-sponsored. We all know this. We are invited to speak, but not to decide. We're encouraged to build community, which we're great at, but excluded from capital and governance. And so this creates a void. So in my opinion, what needs to be redesigned is funding models, accelerators, boards. So women aren't just participants, but architects. And I know we just left the last question, but I think my answers touches on the roles that I see coming in, these leadership roles, which in my opinion are hyper leadership roles. So ecosystem architects in order to create the change. Roles that touch on trust and governance, AI and data ethics stewards, and
Yes.
community-driven venture builders. Because unless we can, change the architect, we can't change the pathways. And so that is what is required.
Lavinia, I'm so glad that you brought up the issue that if we can't change the system, then nothing changes. And that is where we have been for years, right? Women are overmentored, underfunded. And the system is designed that way, right? But I just want to hear more thoughts from you. How do we deal with that? I saw you, Teresa. And do you have something to add on that?
Ironically, I was going to say, there's a paradox. We have more remote work now, and that is an advantage. But now it's building cultural connection, and how do we connect while we're working remotely? Because we have to talk about that, because I feel like many people are working from home. And it's interesting, as women got the right to vote, to work, we never really let go of our other responsibilities. So we're now getting to the point where we're overwhelmed, but we're now working at home at times. You see women taking still on a lot of the responsibilities, and men have the office, and they're working, and they have more focus and ability to grow. So I think we bring the conversation to, yes, the workplace, the company, but we also have to bring it back home. And we want to make sure that men are not only elevating women within the companies, but that their spouses, their partners, whomever that may be, whatever gender, that we're elevating each other wherever we are, wherever we're working from. And so I think that's something for us to talk about as well, is just, let's admit there's a lot of people that aren't even in companies now, that are in the office within each other, where have that privacy and focus to be able to do their work. So we have to restructure and make sure that we're accommodating not only the men and the women as well, and making sure that those other responsibilities are balanced.
Yes, you bring a very thought-provoking insight there when it comes to responsibility. It's a topic that could go on, and I'm thankful that you brought that up. Tiffany, please tell us what you think.
And I wholeheartedly believe, it starts with me. I believe it starts at home.
Yes.
And I'm blessed to have a husband that created space for me, for my femininity to safely reside in, for me to pursue all of my aspirations and support. And in some cases that required him to be home while I was out, or, with me being blind, I like to call him my CNI human. So he's, right there with me as I am, speaking on behalf of women of all ages and backgrounds and so forth. And I think it's really important to see that partnership on full display. And I know it would be irresponsible of me to say that, what we have is an anomaly. Because I do know that there are really great men out there that do create space. Hi, Christopher. But we need more of it. And, that upward, trajectory of going into the office. And real quick, just touching with our online spaces, our companies, our organizations, I really think we should start seeing changes within policy. Right
Yes.
now, we see a lot of artifacts like accessibility statements or AI ethics statements. More so, those artifacts are viewed more and treated like symbolisms, as opposed to connecting the human experience to the policies that are there to protect them and actually seeing them enacted and enforced. And so I think, that's one area in which we can do a much better job collectively in kind of bridging the gap of people experiencing, whether that's, different services and products, and then bringing policy closer to real life interactions.
Yes. Tiffany, that was very, very inspiring. And I just want to shout out to everyone who is supporting GatherVerse She Summit. We have men all over the world tuning in, sharing, and encouraging all the women who are here, and including Christopher Lafayette. So thank you so much. And Tiffany, very inspiring. Let me just go to matters with inclusion. Emily, I'm coming to you on this. Which inclusion failures pose the highest strategic risk for the future?
For me, my concern is the technology and the AI, and specifically how youth are using it and how it is influencing not just our perceptions, but our emotions. And I have heard so many conversations from parents who are really concerned about their sons, especially, which I find really interesting. And I think that it's important that we remember that our technology, and particularly AIs that we can converse with, are coming from a male-centric lens, where the most of the data that is being used to train these systems, whether that is in the programming team itself, the people that actually they're creating these programs, and the internet, and the information that's on the internet, and which voices are prioritized by recommendation algorithms as more important and more valuable. This is all things that the AIs learn from us, and they learn from us who is most important and whose voices are more valuable. And I think that is my concern, because it creates a kind of feedback loop with what kind of messages are being presented to us as users, and as that is really impacting the mental health of everybody, but especially the youth, which is really important because they're the future, right? They're the people that are going to be running our governments one day. So I think it's really important that we're able to outline that. That's just my view. I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks on that and what your experience is.
Emily, you bring up a very valuable concern here when it comes to the perspective and the lens that AI looks at things. And last year we had a summit called Women's Health Summit. And one of the things that stood out was who is feeding the data for women's health? And the conclusion was the men who are working in AI, the one who are feeding AI with women's data. And I might be wrong, but it doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't. And thank you for beautifully highlighting it. And that is why we're having conversations like this, because we're looking at what are we going to do after this? Are we going to take an action? And Kim, please share your thoughts on this.
Sure. I think performative inclusion without real power sharing is a big risk. When diverse voices are invited in, but not trusted to influence outcomes, decisions, that's when organizations lose their innovation, their credibility, and their resilience. So, just having someone there at the table without any real influence is one of the biggest strategic risks, I think, for future leaders.
Having someone at the table with no influence. But I have a follow-up question to that. Does that mean leadership also has to be accompanied with influence?
I do. I think so. Yeah. I mean, when you're leading a group of people, you have to be able to guide them. And if you have no influence and no say so over what's happening, and you're just a taskmaster, then, it becomes performative, and no one's going to want to follow, because, you really have no say so. You're just kind of just the person that's divvying out a task, so to speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add on what Kim just said, when she talked about the leadership, the influencing part of it. I like to work around frameworks, and interestingly, what I've been observing with myself is I've started creating frameworks. Last month, I had a presentation in the office about conversational design. So I was as I was talking about it, I told them that how I've created a framework around the concept of whatever the office people wanted. So they were pretty happy with it, because they could easily ingest that information. And today in the afternoon, I was just going through those questions that I've received from GatherVerse. And again, I created a framework, and I just like to highlight that framework here. And the framework for yes, the framework for leadership is adapt, dev. Adapt means how leaders survive change, and dev means how they'll scale it. So adapt means ADAPT. So by A, I mean agility in learning. A leader today needs to learn fast, yes, and unlearn faster so that he or she can adapt faster. That comes A. D means diversity in decisions, which means actively seeking and integrating diverse perspectives that we just talked about in our previous conversation. A means ambiguity comfort, acts decisively without perfect information. I mean, it's happening with us, At times we don't have the entire information in our hand. So, whatever tidbits of information we have, we need to reach to a particular conclusion. And I think women are really good at it. And then P comes purpose driven leadership, which means connect business results to human and social impact. And T means technology and change fluency. A leader needs to understand and leverage digital transformation. So this means adapt. And dev means develop others. Once the leader has inculcated these framework in herself, she needs to make clones out of it, build talent pipelines for future leaders. And that's what I say, adapt and dev, the framework I use for leaderships.
Pooja, as I was listening to you, I was also taking my notes. And I believe that we needed to hear that. And I believe some of us have found that very, very insightful. Thank you for bringing out very beautiful.
Thank you.
Clarissa, do you have something to add to their thoughts? Please share. Teresa.
Oh, I was just actually feeling the same thing, but just saying in my head, I feel like systems, making sure that we have the systems set up is something that I'm constantly reminding myself of. And I think within women leadership, it's easy to be doers and we continue to do when things need to get done. But and I'll be honest, this is a challenge of mine. I'm constantly reminding myself I have to have systems and I have to share those systems with others. Mm-hmm. And I think especially with AI, we're moving so fast. We have to have systems to make sure that this, whatever policy we put in place, it's easy to replicate, to share with others. And if we don't have systems and even the framework, I love that. We move actually slower in the long run, if that makes sense. And we end up getting depleted. So we have to start with those systems, that framework that was brought up. I love that. I'm going to go back to that later. So thank you for bringing that up. But that was just the other thing I was going to add. I think that's really important, going into everything as leaders with the systems that will lead us and our teams.
That was also, yes, please.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I loved everything that both Pooja, I love the framework and systems. Like systems will always be forever. It doesn't matter what tech comes in, systems are important.
It's constant.
I can say, yes, exactly. So I think future leaders in regards to this, they're not going to know everything. There's so much information to take in. Everything is moving so quickly. But I think what will be important is network intelligence. Can they convene the right people, not just command them? So it's not about knowing everything, but it's about knowing who to bring into the room that is going to make an impact. And I think that is a great indicator of future readiness.
Thank you for beautifully highlighting that. And I'm going to shift to the next question because I think this one was already tackled. And Tiffany, I'm coming to you, and Emily. What leadership stories can inspire future generations? Tiffany, you told us one of your examples, but we want to hear more from you.
One thing I want to share, when I first started Visiotech back in 2019, I started it while I was in the hospital. I was getting prepared to get back on dialysis after a kidney failure. And I realized that there were a lot of gaps between information, technology, access, and being, a woman of color with a disability. There are a lot of barriers to entry that I face, that I know others out there, whether they're represented, in one of, my 3 identities, that I'm sharing that intersect or not. I wanted to at least start the conversation, be in the room, build something that I might not see the end of, but I'm okay with ruffling up some feathers. And I think right now it takes that resiliency as well as tenacity, but also that vulnerability, in order to build something that will outlast you, outlive you, for other people. I want to be the floor for many women, the platform in which, they're able to launch all of these, remarkable ideas or movements and so forth. But one in particular, when I did first start it, I did not get a lot of, clients. And so I
Yes.
had to use a male counterpart, my business partner who is sighted, to go out, have the discovery meetings, go, do the networking. And it wasn't until they signed on the dotted line that I would come in and then introduce myself and so forth. And we move forward. And I just stopped in the middle of the pandemic and said, I will no longer, go after clients, accept clients that won't truly accept me and all of me, as well as our staff who have different abilities, identify, differently, whatever that is. And if they're not going to accept us, we have to be the ones to kind of set the mark and, be the example, if we will. So just all of those things. I would just hope, if anybody were to take anything from what I shared, sometimes you might be the only, and I say a lot, you might have the case of the onlys, sorry, and that's okay. They need to see you. It's important. Everything that you bring to the table is absolutely needed right now.
Tiffany, I'm listening to you and I can't help but reflect on what you just said and how you demonstrated your value, not being willing to be on the table with someone who doesn't accept you fully, right? That clicked for me. And I think most women, we're so accustomed to just fitting in, even if it's not comfortable. But when I hear a story like what you just said, you walk out when someone doesn't value you, that's a win for me. And, Emily, what is your story?
I don't know how I can add to that, honestly. It was great. It did make me think of like one thing where you're saying about you only want to do business with people that value you and accept you for who you are. I can't relate to it in the same way, but that is part of the reason why I stopped wearing makeup, because I wanted to show up as myself and show my face. And I wanted people to know who they were negotiating with. And I wanted people to trust who they were negotiating with, which means not wearing a mask. And I know that everybody has their own routines and their own confidence that they're working with. And for me, it was just putting aside the societal expectations of what it means to be women presenting and to be perceived in that way. And I just found I was able to focus more on the actual business itself and the conversations I was having and what I was doing. And I would rather have a relationship with someone or with a business who's going to accept me for me and isn't going to be bothered by physical appearances or how much time I'm spending putting stuff on my face in the morning. So that's kind of something that I thought of. But yeah, there's a lot of inspiration in this panel, I think, with everybody.
Yes, I'm sorry, guys. I'm interrupting again, but I'd like to carry the baton forward, started from Tiffany to Emily, and I'd like to end it. Can you
Please
see
do.
my gray hair, gray strands? So
Yes.
I started having these 1 year back. So frankly speaking, I used to color my hair, because I wanted to fit in, right?
Mhm.
I'm in my early 40s right now. And it's been like almost 8 months, oh no, 6 months now. I've stopped doing it because I don't want to fit in anywhere. So this is the actual photo. Like, this is how I look like. I changed my LinkedIn DP as well. You know, this is me, as Emily said, the truth. This is the source code. I don't want to camouflage it and, look something like that. So yes, I loved it. And it's been really wonderful, guys. I'm thoroughly enjoying with each one of you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for that beautiful input and everyone who shared their story. I think that was my highlight as well. We all have something that just makes us stand out. It doesn't make us want us to fit in. Society sometimes would make us want us to fit in, but it's something that is unique and it makes us stand out. And that was beautifully said. And I'm coming to you, Teresa, for almost the last question that we have. What leadership behaviors can sustain trust in frontier systems? And Kim, I will also bring you on this, as well as Lavinia. Teresa, your mic, please.
I would say just ethics. Ethics is very important. And I think it goes also back to our values. And that's what we just talked about.
Yes.
And I would leave it at that, I think, for me.
All right. That was brief. Lavinia.
Well, transparency, it can't be overhyped. Accountability over speed. Listening before scaling. I think listening is such a fundamental skill, and we have to take the time to do that as leaders. Even more so now with the speed of technology and emerging tech. Taking that time, I think it goes back to someone's point, Pooja's point of being human. And I think to listen is to be human. And when I just think about decentralized systems, leaders must model the behavior they want encoded into technology. You can't build trustless systems with untrustworthy leadership. So, yeah.
Thank you. Kim, what do you have to say on this?
Yeah, I would add, along with transparency, accountability, but also clear boundaries. As the systems become more complex, the trust is sustained by the leaders who can explain the decisions, own their mistakes, and then design the safeguards that protect the people, their staff, customers, whoever they interact with.
That is a very, very strong sentiment. Who else wants to add something to this particular topic, or we can shift to the next one because our time is going as fast. Anyone who wants to add on that? All right. So let's go just to competencies and under development. And what should women right now, the ones that we're not calling them girls, they will soon be women. What should they learn as early as now? What competency, what kind of mindset should they grow up knowing?
So I'd like to.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was going to just say power literacy.
Okay.
That's a term that I have been touching on. And what is power literacy? These are learned skills, and those skills are like claiming authority without apology, strategic risk taking, boundary setting, which Kim touched on. And I think these are not innate skills, but they should be taught early and not after burnout. So, yeah.
Yes.
So I have something radical to contribute. My idea is, what if given a choice, what would I'd like to give to the future leaders would be thinking through the problem. I mean, just go through it. If there's a problem in life, just go through it, even if you are shaking through your bones. And the aim is to identify the problem, and once you have identified the problem, look for ways to resolving those problems with the existing props or tools in hand. and do not look for external sources or any kind of help from anyone, which also means you do not have to wait for someone to come and assist you, and you have to figure it out all by yourself. I mean, this should be your thought process. And once you'll start figuring out that problem by yourself, gradually you will understand, you will identify the problem. And initially, it might appear to you that you have failed or it doesn't work that ways, or whatever the result be. Even if the society or people around you, they might consider it as not a success, but you do not need to classify it as per what others think it to be. For you, it'll always be an experience, a learning experience, a stepping stone to the next level. So once you have this kind of mindset, that'll totally change the game. It has happened with me. That's why I'm so confidently I'm sharing it with everyone here.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a
thank
very
you.
problem-solving mindset.
I would add,
Yes, please.
sorry, I would add on, what is the story you're telling to yourself? When you aren't speaking up, when you're struggling, when you're not confident, it's going to the problem, like facing the problem, as you said, Pooja. I liked how you mentioned that when we face the problem and we're nervous, we're scared, what is the story that's going on in our mind? We have to start with that. And then I would say visibility. We're all visible right now, right? We made that choice to be visible. And I think that's really important in the future for young girls to make themselves visible. And other people may not do that. You may have to be the person that steps forward
Yes,
and
Teresa,
navigate.
at times what happens is, when you are in that stage, like when a person is in that stage where they just want to move ahead, but they are not able to see a clear picture, as the story you're talking about. Suppose if I was a person, I am not able to see a picture, but I just know one thing, that I have to move forward. So for me, at that point of time would be just, I look for my life in days, morning till evening. Okay, then it's night time. Have your dinner. You sleep if you're having sleep, and I don't know. You obviously are going through something. So next day you get up. Don't think about the other day. Just think about that day that you have to complete that day. You have to take baby steps. As you're taking baby steps, you'll figure out something. So that is the entire process. At times we don't have a story. I never had one actually. That's why I'm saying, yeah.
Teresa,
I was just going to last add negotiation skills. I think negotiation as well is really important for young girls growing up. Learn it, and that's not something we're taught. So we have to search for that information. How do we learn to negotiate?
Yeah.
Yes.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and sorry.
Yes. Oh yeah. We have as much time as you can. I see my time, my timer is knocking, and I just want to say thank you, ladies. Thank you for the insights that you shared. We definitely had takeaways. We had stories to learn from, and this is a call for me and a request, a kind request. If you can come back again, that would make us very happy and the world very happy. Thank you so much for joining us, and our gather for this panel was Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.